All right, today we're going to do something really cool. We're going to connect a military principle that's 2,500 years old with some of the most high-tech operations of right now. We'll get into how leaders then and now get thousands of people to act as one, whether they're using ancient drums or modern satellites. So, here's the fundamental question, right? It's a challenge that has stumped commanders for literally thousands of years. How do you get a huge group of people to act like a single person with a single mind, especially when they can't even see or hear each other? Whether it's a chaotic battlefield or a global company, how do you make that happen? Okay, so to really get this, let's travel back in time. We're going way back to the battlefields of ancient China. Just picture the scene. It's absolute chaos. You've got the roar of battle, dust everywhere, and your units are spread out over huge distances. Shouting commands? Yeah, that's completely useless. So how does a general actually lead their army? Now, you'd probably think the legendary strategist Sun Tzu came up with the solution. But here's what's so fascinating. He didn't. He was actually quoting an even older military text called the Zheng. This just goes to show you how ancient this problem really is. And their solution? It was an absolutely ingenious, nonverbal system. And the logic behind it? Honestly, it's brilliant in its simplicity. You can think of it like an old-school analog network for command and control. At night, or maybe in a thick fog, you use sound, gongs and drums, to signal an advance or a retreat. But during the day, you use sight, these huge, colorful banners and flags to direct your troops across the field. Every sound, every flag meant something very specific. But here's where it gets really profound. This whole system wasn't just about sending simple signals. The real goal was something much, much deeper. It was about achieving this concept, Yi Ming Ji Mu. That translates to unify the eyes and ears of the soldiers. The whole point was to make every single soldier see with the same eyes and hear with the same ears, basically the eyes and ears of their general. And when you can pull that off, man, the result is incredibly powerful. Because when your entire army is moving to the beat of a single drum and the sight of a single flag, all those individual impulses, they just vanish. The bravest soldier can't just charge ahead on their own, and the most scared soldier can't just shrink back. Everybody is locked into the group. They literally become one body, moving as a single unit. Okay, so let's fast forward a couple of thousand years. You might be thinking, that's cool for ancient history, but what about now? Well, that's the thing. The problem is exactly the same. It's just gotten way, way bigger. Today's battlefield isn't a few square miles. It's the entire globe. Obviously, the tools have changed a little bit. Those gongs and flags have evolved into this vast, kind of scary-sounding digital network. Its name? C4KISR. But you're about to see, the goal is exactly the same as it was 2,500 years ago. So what on earth is C4KSIR? It sounds super complicated, but it's really just the modern military's central nervous system. The C4 part is command, control, communications, and computers. Then you've got K for kill, I for intelligence, S for surveillance, and R for reconnaissance. All these things work together in one massive digital network that lets a commander see everything, share information instantly, and direct their forces in real time. It's the ultimate tool for unifying the eyes and ears. Now, if you want to see this modern principle in action, a perfect real-world example, we have to talk about Operation Neptune Spear. Yep, the 2011 raid that killed Osama bin Laden. It's a total masterclass in this idea of modern unified command. At first glance, the operation looks surprisingly small. If you just looked at who was physically there in Pakistan, you had 28 Special Forces members, a translator, and a military dog named Cairo. That's a tiny footprint for one of the biggest military operations of our time. But supporting that small team was this unbelievable, invisible global network. Think about this. You had the president watching a live video feed from the Pentagon. You had over 30 satellites in orbit providing intel. Drones were streaming real-time video, while fighter jets and helicopters were on standby. And out at sea, an entire aircraft carrier was ready to provide support. It was all connected. Our source material has this fantastic way of putting it. It says the soldiers on the ground, they were just the actors on the stage. They were the hands doing the work, sure, but the director, the unified eyes and ears making every single decision, was the command center at the Pentagon, thousands of kilometers away. That team was a perfect extension of the director's will.
So this is where we bring it all home, because this whole idea, it's not just for generals and soldiers, not at all. This timeless principle of unifying the eyes and ears, it's absolutely crucial for anyone who's trying to lead a team, whether you're in a command center or, a conference room.
Just think about it for a second. Is a general coordinating dispersed troops all that different from a CEO trying to align remote teams in different time zones? Is a coordinated military attack really that different from a complex product launch? In every case, the goal is to prevent chaos and make sure everyone, and I mean everyone, is pulling in the same direction. And that warning from those ancient texts is just as true today as it was then. If you don't have a system to unify your team, to make sure they all see the same vision and hear the same message, your organization, whether it's an army or a company, just becomes a pile of loose sand, totally incapable of doing anything together. So what's the big takeaway here? Well, the technology has changed like crazy, right? We've gone from animal hide drums to satellites in space. But the core principle, the fundamental human element behind it all, it hasn't changed one bit. Real success on a grand scale always comes down to this: unifying the senses and actions of many people into the will of one. There's this great saying adapted by a scholar that just sums it all up perfectly. One bit of wisdom can open 10,000 doors. And you know what? This idea, unifying the eyes and ears, that is absolutely one of those master keys. It unlocked victory for ancient generals and modern commanders, and it's a principle that can unlock success for any leader in any field, even today.